Bum, bum, bum. Hi, everyone. It is Friday. We made it. Hey, Danny. Happy Friday. We're going to turn down Brittany for a second, as much as that pains me. Hope everyone had a great week. I don't know. I feel like it was kind of a slow week as far as pop culture goes, but don't worry. I spent a lot of time researching some things for us to discuss. Hey, Danny, happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. TGIF, Alexa. This makes me want to go back on, what was it, TBS? Where did they show the TGIF marathon with like Boy Meets World and Clueless and just all the best little teenage sitcoms back to back? Those were the days. Let me go ahead and get these slides going. It's October 10th, 10/10. You're a 10 out of 10, in my opinion. It's also World Mental Health Day, so I hope you're taking care of yourselves. But if you're just joining, tell us who you are, where you're joining from, and what you do. Pop Chat is a place for pop culture fans, marketers, but no matter what your background may be, I want to hear from you and learn more about you. So come say hello and a little bit more about me. I'm Brienne Fleming. I love pop culture. I love marketing, and I love kind of fusing the two, which is what we do here at Pop Chat. But like I said, I am a marketer at heart. It's what my background is in. I've climbed a corporate ladder, but now I do consulting and teaching at the University of Florida. Love the Backstreet Boys, love the 90s. Host a podcast called Making the Brand, which is kind of just like an extension of what we do and talk about here. Just taking topical things in pop culture and really looking at it through a marketing lens. And I've been lucky to have some really great guests on that show. So check it out. I live in South Florida. So if you're ever in the area, let me know. ABC. Okay, yes, that does ring a bell. It's been too long. Hey, Amy. We needed a slow week after last week's crazy pop culture week. Yes, Mean Girls Day, Life of a Showgirl. You're right. Danny from Facebook lives in Maine and he manages amazing digital communities. And I have to give a shout out to Danny because after last week's Pop Chat, he graciously DM'd me with some really awesome ideas for Pop Chat and what we should do next. Yeah, it's just crazy, you guys. This is the busy season, as you know. We're in Q4 of life with the holidays and just everything going on. And I've got baby number 2 arriving in January. And I'm just like, where, what about all these goals? So thank you, Danny. I'm going to get back to you on that stuff, but I so appreciate the ideas. And the best is yet to come for Pop Chat. Another Danny from Massachusetts. Danny, your post last week was the best. The best post, the best Taylor Swift post I saw all week, for sure. So go ahead and introduce yourselves because unlike what my beloved Backstreet Boys say, I do care who you are, where you're from, and what you do. So what is Pop Chat in a nutshell? It is where marketing and pop culture collide. We're going to go over some trending topics for the week and get to know each other. We're going to put on our marketing hats, but also get to learn about things we like in pop culture. So we get to know each other beyond our jobs, and a beautiful byproduct of that is community and connection. So happy you all are here. Monique from Baltimore, here to nerd out and learn lots. I feel like that could be Pop Chat's slogan and hopefully have a good time. So like I said, this is such a fun way to end the week. Alexa from Seattle. She's a marketing and media strategist for founder-led brands and creators. If you're not following Alexa, please do because she just always drops some really great knowledge bombs and posts. So go check her out. All right. So the way this works, be you. There is no single authority here when it comes to marketing, pop culture. All perspectives matter. So share your thoughts. Connect with others, especially after this chat is over or during the chat. Send some connection requests. We really want to, cultivate a community here. So get to know each other. So my question for you for today's icebreaker is, What's a niche subject you could talk about for hours? If you could write your senior thesis on anything, unprompted, what's a niche subject you could talk about for hours? Joseph, Joseph Priest is here from Tampa. I know what you're going to say your niche subject is. So great to see you. No worries about being delinquent. You're busy. You are very busy. Our brand daddy is back from San Diego. Tyra Banks touched my arm once. I'm going to need that full backstory. I really am. Tyra Banks, I I she's like she's been trying to start an ice cream brand for the past few years. I don't know if anyone's been following that, but I don't know. I feel like she's been trying to kind of figure out where she fits right now, especially after leaving Dancing with the Stars and trying that out. And, she's not really modeling much these days. Yes, Noah, tell us more. I know there's a story there. But what is a niche subject you could talk about for hours? I feel like, Monique, you could have talked about Fat Bear Week for hours, which is a very timely example. Yay! Friends in Tampa. Oh, love it. Oh, that's awesome. Jennifer and Joseph have some mutual connections. Love to see that. Oh, Danny, I love that. I love that we're making this, serious and intellectual community building and belonging psychology. I thought we were going to talk about a niche subject you could talk about for hours is, mac and cheese. I could probably talk about that for hours. But yeah, we have some smarty pants. What did you think of Tyra as the Dancing with the Stars host? We were all rooting for you, as she would say. It was just awkward. It wasn't her place, I don't think. I think it felt very forced. I think she felt uncomfortable. But I did see an interview with Alfonso Ribeiro, who, if you don't know, he's the current host alongside Julianne Hough. And he said that she was set up for failure because she was thrown in there during their pandemic season where she couldn't get close to the cast and there was just this distance and you're trying to interview and put on a show. And I don't know, she just didn't have the same environment. So I don't know. I feel for her. I think she did the best she could, but it's live television, which is very unforgiving. I have so many fixations. How can I pick one thing to talk about? Well, you could you can make a list here. What Tyra Banks taught me about B2B sales. I'm so sad. I miss this. I hated Tyra. I know. I would just go on Twitter afterward and not even afterward, during, and it was just very cringy. Alexa says the dying diaspora, ethnic culture dispersion outside of a homeland in the US. You all are so smart. So smart. Love that. Please write your thesis. You're writing your thesis on Pop Chat. I would definitely read that. And I would give you an A as a professor. I would give you an A for sure. Chunk for life, Chunk fan club. Joseph, your favorite language expert. Language and usage is a niche subject for me, but I'll say classic Hollywood movies for my subject today instead. It's a more interesting topic for most people. Yes, that's one thing I'm a little bummed about with this transition to a live stream, Joseph, instead of on Twitter, is that I can't see your awesome Hollywood movie gifs. I wonder what would happen if you dropped a gif in LinkedIn, if I would see it here on my end, because I'm not natively on LinkedIn. I'm in StreamYard, so I think it adjusts it. But Yella is here, traveling by train. Ooh, that is very niche. Yella, you were just all over the world, and I think you traveled by train when I was lucky enough to meet you in person in London when you came from the Netherlands. So you could talk about how trains just connect you to Twitter friends if you want. So happy you're here. Are you on a train right now? Monique, you picked one. Loves analyzing music. So if there's a rabbit hole song or album I fall into, I could talk about it forever. That is the best. See, as someone who, has grown up in South Florida, we're not a very train friendly place. And whenever I'm in big cities, I just follow my husband and I hope we're on the right line and he knows what he's doing. He's from Boston. I have no idea. Oh my goodness. What am I about to say out loud? I used to run an Instagram called Pone Hub that was all pictures of dudes in the wild with cool ponytails. Could talk about that forever or at least 10 minutes. We need the link to that as well. And Noah, did you ever have a ponytail? I'm sure there was some inspiration there. All right, this is getting fun. The bullet train in Japan is my favorite. I wonder if I was on that because I've been to Japan. I think we did like it was like the Japan rail. I don't know. Like I said, I'm big time passenger princess on trains, especially. I'm just like, just tell me where to go. Yay. All right. So today in pop culture history, again, also really slow. Not a lot of national fun little holidays today besides World Mental Health Day. But we also have National Handbag Day. So we have to put the handbag queen, Jessica Simpson, and her Louis Vuitton multi on a slide. I feel like I could talk for hours about how Jessica Simpson was like one of the original influencers, like on the cusp of when influencer culture was about to take over the world, but it was just her and newlyweds, and her fashion just had us all in a chokehold. And fun fact, you can watch the entire Newlywed series on YouTube. Someone uploaded it in full, and it's all organized in different playlists by season. That was one of the first things I did postpartum. That's how I got through postpartum depression, was watching Newlyweds reruns. Danny loves taking the tea in Boston. I took it the other day with my son and his friend going to a Bruins game. It was fun educating them on how it works and how to get where you're going. Okay, I feel like I can kind of relate to this because my daughter is just now recognizing trains and loves to say choo choo. So I'm sure I'll blink and we'll be on the T and we'll be talking about how trains work. So, oh my gosh, Yella, look what you sparked here. I think everyone, maybe I just needed an icebreaker about trains. Did the auto train from Florida to DC and Amtrak from NYC to Tampa. You can also ride it in Miami. I need to look into the Amtrak some more, as big fans also of their social. And I think they're way more accessible than I give them credit for in my mind. I need to research it and become a train girly. Not on a train right now, but actually took the high-speed train from Frankfurt to Amsterdam, having a business event tomorrow and meeting one of my Pop Chat marketing Twitter crew. Morgan, oh, that makes me so happy. Please tell her I said hello. That's awesome. Throw up a pone here and there. Sadly, the IG was flagged and taken down. That's not cool. My life's work gone in a flash. See, that's just, I don't approve of that. What are we doing? We need more freedom on our social platforms. I love a good rerun that is readily available. Yes. And then we also need to talk about in Mean Girls, if you had the cherry blossom Louis Vuitton, that was special too. Auto train, come visit us. Yeah, Yella, you're going viral. Everyone loves trains. Who knew? I have a friend that's taken, my friend Christine, who you know, Yella, I think, takes it from Orlando to New York, and she like sleeps on the train. She'll like upgrade to like I don't know, they have like full rooms now on these long train rides. So very cool. I need to become a train girly, I think. Also, our pop culture rewind. I think this was one of the first times we really saw the Taylor Swift effect, because on this day in 2018 was when she finally broke her silence on politics and encouraged her 112 million followers at the time to go register to vote. And we saw a massive spike in voter registration from Americans ages 18 to 29. By noon that following Tuesday, they had over 102,000 new registrants, and 70% of which came from voters below the age of 25. And the Taylor Swift effect, I feel like, just has kept going. And it was so powerful. In my research, I noticed that there's a whole Wikipedia page. Did you hear me just stutter on Wicca? Wicca. I didn't plan that. There's a whole Wikipedia page about Taylor Swift's political impact. So I think that really just speaks volumes. I would love to see just a whole case study on celebrity impacts on elections in general and like what truly influences people and how much we turn to celebrities for political information. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Danny says my friends Tim and Brendan actually held the record for the shortest time riding every track on the T in one trip. Good for them. I hope they got some kind of plaque for that. For all us classic film and train fans, there's so many good movies that take place on trains. North by Northwest, Strangers on a Train, both Hitchcock, Murder on the Orient Express. Let's keep this going. Other train movies. What's the one with John Travolta taking a Pelham? Is that it? I vaguely remember that. So many good train movies. Too funny. I always picture A League of Their Own in the train scene when they're like rushing to get to the train to go play softball. Yeah, Wicca. Thank you. If this doesn't work out, I may just become a DJ. All right, speaking of the Taylor Swift effect, I feel like we do need to just kind of close the loop on the life of a showgirl. Taylor Swift was all in the press last week and she did some late night shows. And I saw she did this collaboration with Pandora where she shared a couple interview answers. And she was talking about the song Elizabeth Taylor specifically. And this pop chat has gone off the rails. You know, I was going to say that earlier when we were talking about Pornhub, but this is better. Now that we've added all these train stories in here, it's true. It's gone off the rails. Chris has taken the train. Oh, now this is train chat. # train chat. Yella, can you write all my icebreakers from now on? So she was saying that she was in the car with Travis Kelce, her fiance, and her parents texted her a video clip of Elizabeth Taylor's son saying that if he had to compare one celebrity to his mother, a modern day celebrity, and the pressures they're under and how they carry themselves and everything, he would say Taylor Swift. And she was so flattered by that. And it just sparked this conversation with Travis talking about why she loves Elizabeth Taylor. And she actually had to get out of the car. Would have been better if they were on a train, but get out of the car to record a little melody and then get back in the car. So the inspiration just struck her in that moment from that conversation. So I'm curious, who are your influences in your personal life or pop culture who inspire your ideas? Do you have a subset of pop culture? Or just maybe someone that you know personally that every time you have a conversation with them, you're always walking away with new ideas? Yella, you're the best. Icebreaker 2. What's the most memorable train trip so far? I'm always taking train trips when we're traveling internationally, and it's a lot of fun. Good snacks. Yes, A League of Their Own. That's a great train moment in a film. Thank you. I pulled that out. It was in there. I could nerd out on classic Hollywood musicals. Love it. More Hitchcock. Look at you two. Both of you are in Tampa just bonding over this. You might need to go to like a screening of something. So, who are influences in your personal life or pop culture who inspire your ideas? This is so cliche of me to say, but I can't prevent myself from seeing content ideas stemming from the Spice Girls. Like I wrote a blog post about how girl power was the original, brand purpose and how, girl power helped me understand branding and brands having a purpose. I've talked about Ginger Spice and her Union Jack dress and that moment and how she knew how to capture the press's attention, all those things. I don't know. I'm always thinking about the Spice Girls, I guess. Oh, the train from Amsterdam to London, of course, crossing the sea to see Christine, Jason, and Brian. That was so fun. I love the pictures we took that day, too. Wait, where is Brianna? Is this your answer to the icebreaker? You could talk about Brianna for hours on end. Where is she? That's so funny. Alexa says the philosophical conversations I have with my friend always surface deep topics and perspectives I use in my own writing. Oh, so when do you have these deep philosophical conversations with your friends? Because I feel like these interactions are becoming fewer and far between. Like I always think back to sleepovers when we were kids and there were no phones. Like we were truly bored and we would be able to have longer conversations, but I feel like everything's so fragmented now. So now I have a follow-up. What social situations are you having these deep conversations in? Are they group texts? Are they in person? Terry's here. I'm going to get to this, but I want to read Yella's answer. My colleagues, we have so many open conversations about both work and personal stuff. Always something new to learn during the lunch break and beyond. Yella, I was just talking about this, how the best ideas actually come over lunch and not in the boardroom. Because who can brainstorm when they're hangry anyway? Harry is here. Oh my gosh, Shea Serrano. Yes, I have his book. I'll grab it in a second. First, hey, so good to be back. Shea Serrano, author and pop culture sports writer. He's so positive and preaches just do cool shit you want to see out in the world. We love that. I don't know why I have this. Hold on. I'm going to grab it. I have the rap yearbook, you guys. I'm not a major rap fan. I mean, I like rap, but maybe not enough to read over 200 pages of this. But my husband suggested I get it because it's good inspiration for my future book, hopefully. If we're talking about pop culture. So great example. And I need to thumb through this again. It's been a while. Love the illustrations. Ooh, there's quizzes and stuff. Timelines, So that is a great example. Literally on the phone with my long distance friends, we talked for over an hour usually. I'm not on the phone with people anymore and I miss it. Jennifer says, wondering if Liz Taylor is about to have a pop culture renaissance with this song and upcoming Kim Kardashian produced documentary. Also wondering if Kim's going to jump on the song for promotion purposes. I'm sure Kim is probably going to find a red carpet to wear one of her dresses too. That's probably next. Monique says, I think I find influence and inspiration in almost everyone I interact with. That's so beautiful. My community is full of really strong and supportive people, and I love being able to find strengths in others that I can learn from. I feel like when I'm in an Uber, I know I'm one of those few people that talk to their Uber drivers, but I always leave an Uber if I have an interesting driver. Like it's definitely someone I wouldn't have ordinarily met probably. And it's almost like speed dating when just meeting someone random and being forced to have an intimate conversation. And I'm sure that happens on trains. We love trains. I have his movies and other things book. I'll have to check that one out. I'm a car passenger princess. That's why I love the train. I can just kick back and relax. Yeah. And get some work done. You can even join Pop Chat on the train. Danny says music, Taylor, obviously, but I love all music. That 101 playlist is out. Movies and reading those are my influences and my inspiration. Yeah. I love feeling creatively inspired by movies. Mara's here. I get all my somewhat decent ideas while driving or when I'm in the shower. What about on the train, Mara? You missed it. This has become train chat. What is going on with our Chicago crew is in the house, Terry and Mara. I love it. Please give Zeke a little pet for me. Zeke is the Pop Chat mascot, Mara's dog. I love that. Okay, if you have more thoughts on this, let me know. But I also have good news. Dolly Parton isn't dead. Dolly Parton ain't dead yet. After some rumors were swirling that she was in grave condition because her sister shared a post asking for prayers, saying her health was seriously declining. And it sparked a lot of rumors. And Queen Dolly herself had to set the record straight. She's like, look at me. I'm not sick. I'm actually on set. I'm working. So that is great news. Yella says, "Oh, surely it happens on trains. I meet so many cool people during the journeys." Yes, just getting out of your house. Uber drivers have the most interesting conversations if you know how to start them. I usually start with, "How's your day going?" It never fails. Very open-ended. Maddie Matheson, because now dummies like me stand a chance. Noah, you're doing great. Oh, yes, work from home life. I get that. I get that. So, since Dolly Parton isn't dead, let's talk about how do you decide what parts of your personal life to show online and what to keep private while still staying authentic? Because that's what Dolly was saying, was that, she didn't want to scare people. She is having some health challenges, but she was keeping things private, but was kind of forced to address it. So I ain't dead yet is the attitude we need for 2025 and into 2026. Yes. Keep going. If you're still kicking, you can do anything. So, that's very personal. Her health journey is very personal. So, at a time when we're supposed to be so authentic and vulnerable, how do you personally decide what parts of your life to show online and what to keep private? For me, I don't know if it's really like, okay, this information about myself I'm keeping private, this information I'm publicly sharing. It's more just like asking myself, do people care? Would anyone else care about this minute detail in my life? Um, so I don't want to bore people. That's how I decide. If I just have like nothing interesting to say, I'm not going to share it. That's kind of a bold statement though, and assuming that all my posts are interesting because they're not. But if I'm bored by it, I'm not going to bore you with it. Maybe at least one other person will find it interesting. Yes, Uber drivers, it's just a simple question, but taking that step is tough sometimes. But the things that follow after asking that one question are priceless. Yeah. Isn't it such a nice feeling when you step out of an Uber and you're like, that was a really nice conversation. It was really nice meeting you. Like, and you're never going to see that person again. LinkedIn LinkedIn user Joseph said, just attended a virtual conference by ACES, the Society for Editing, largest copy editing organization in the US, and was reminded how influenced I am by the editor at large of the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, Peter Sokolowski, a language genius. Ooh, I'll have to follow his stuff. I love, speaking of niche topics and niche conferences, that is awesome. See, Dolly invented the 9 to 5 workday, which killed the rest of us. Well, why is it more like an 8 to 6 these days? As I get, Mara says that as I get older, the more I try to keep private. I don't talk about my current relationship as much online as I would have when I was younger, but I'll always post Zeke pics. Thank you. We'd love to see it. I very, very, very rarely share pictures of my daughter. And if I do on Instagram, it's on Instagram close friends only. I just feel like she hasn't given me consent. So that's kind of what I'm going with. I'm such an unapologetically weird person, and I find it so hard to present myself as professional, especially now that LinkedIn is turning into Tumblr, Twitter 2.0. Monique, just be you. There is no such thing as being, you don't have to be a certain way. Just be you. I think you're doing great. No one is reading your posts about Fat Bear Week and thinking that's unprofessional. That they think that's human and funny and cool and inspiring that you're able to share these interests and just be a human. So I love that you're showing up unapologetically as yourself. Danny tries to share his authentic self as much as possible. The mental health advocacy is my big one. Of course, there are things I don't share because I don't think they're worth sharing. If I don't think they're worth sharing, they're probably not worth sharing. Yeah, that's kind of my thought process too. Yes. But Danny, I remember your podcast with Tony back in the day and just using your platform. And especially on this World Mental Health Day, we appreciate you being vocal about that. Oh my God, great answers. Alexa, depends on relevancy. I'm more likely to share personal things as it relates to business, but anything else I want to keep offline. Yeah, I like how you can share something personal, but kind of wrap it up in a way that makes it relevant and interesting to others. I think that's the fun challenge of social. Yeah, I'm quite unhinged online, but since more and more people notify me online, I do think twice before posting something. Yep. You know what they say, if you don't want it on the front page of whatever newspaper, think twice. But I don't know. Remember, for millennials, it was like, don't post pictures of you holding a red Solo cup in college. And now some of the stuff that the youths are doing on TikTok. Oh my God, we wouldn't dare. Oh, I'm glad you appreciate the question. Danny says, personally, I share my personality first and foremost. So I like to show off a mix of humor and intelligence and a bit of empathy. Yeah, Danny, I think you are just such a great example of this, of just truly being authentic, um, of empathy from their choosing. What I show online versus what I don't comes down to my values. My kids, for instance, I do not share pictures of them and will not share much about them, but I do share a lot about myself. The only thing I do not share are things that I'm personally processing and still have. Oh, I wonder if StreamYard cut me off or what, but I got the gist. Yeah. Thank you for that. I kind of use social media as a place to express myself and to help me process, but I think I have to have a certain level of processing also to a certain point before I do that. So I get that. 8 to 6 because they give you a lunch hour. So if you eat at your desk and work through lunch, you're giving your employer a free hour of work. Don't do it. Great advice. I just think of my cousin Vinny when he's like, the two Utes. The two what? We overcomplicate content by feeling like it has to be performative or we have to act a certain way, but it's all about showing up as we are. Even on LinkedIn, this professional network, we're talking about trains and Jessica Simpson and Spice Girls, whatever we want. I always wonder with all these TikTok mom influencers who share everything about their kids, what their kids will think once they've grown up and see that they had all been shared all over the internet. I know that goes through my mind as well. To each their own. It is not for me. It's scary when my coworkers are on LinkedIn too. Yeah, I understand. It's definitely striking the right balance of what you feel comfortable with. Oh, I have so many Pop Chat OGs here. And speaking of that, since we're talking about Dolly Parton, this was either I think this was the first Pop Chat question ever that I'm about to show you. And the branding was awful. But my OGs in the chat, January 2020 on Twitter, we were talking about the Dolly Parton challenge. And I thought I had an example in this slide, but remember when you had like me as LinkedIn, me as Facebook, me as Instagram, me as Twitter, and just showing like all different, or I think it was Tinder actually, showing all different parts of your personality. This was when Pop Chat was launched. This might be the second one, the second week of Pop Chat, but hello, gang. Friends are here. Convinced that my life is hopelessly boring. No! So I mostly focus Instagram updates on my classic Hollywood mug collection and occasional travel updates. Joseph, this reminds me of Sarah Blakely. What does she call it? The founder of Spanx. She does this great series on LinkedIn. It's hashtag mug something, mug Monday or motivation mugs or something. But she always is drinking coffee out of a mug with an inspirational quote on it. And she'll write this whole backstory or just a moment in her career where that quote was relevant. And it's one of my favorite series on LinkedIn. Okay, and since it was a light pop culture week, I don't know, I felt compelled to add random things to this pop chat. I mentioned I'm reading this book, 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest. And she talks about 3 different layers of you. I think this is really pertinent to what this question was about. First is your identity, which is the outer layer and the version of you think the world expects. Then you have your shame, which she says is the fear, hiding, or self-sabotage that keeps your true self from showing. And then you have your true self, and that is the core of who you really are. And she says the goal is to close the gap between who the world thinks you are and who you actually are. And that's what being your true self is, and having true happiness. And granted, this doesn't have to be something you do just on social media. This could be in your day-to-day life and how you show up with your friends and family. But this conversation just reminded me of that. And I don't know, I thought it was thought-provoking to share. So I hope you like it. Oops, I did it again. I didn't realize it, but more Spice Girl stuff, you guys. See what I mean? Victoria Beckham has a new docuseries on Netflix. And in it, she gets really raw and candid about her life and career after the Spice Girls. And just, she didn't know what was next for her. And she mentioned that she did a lot of like attention-seeking behaviors at the time. Like with the paparazzi and stuff, she was like always, very scantily clad as far as how she was dressed. Aw, I'm glad you like this. Wait, let me go back. This is why I hate celeb gossip. Let them live. We have normal influencers to bother now. Yeah, that is incredibly deep. None of my answers will measure up to that. Oh, what are we referring to? Oh, book. Yeah. So check out this book. And it's a really long one. There's a lot of great thought-provoking things. But anyway, so Victoria Beckham started her fashion company, and on the surface, it looked like a success, but it was tens of millions of dollars in debt. And David Beckham was funding a lot of it, and it was just in the red, kind of going up in flames. And in it, she says, I hear it now and I'm horrified, but I allowed that to happen. Oh, I want to mention, for example, someone was like auditing her expenses, and she spent $70,000 on plants because she liked plants, and her team was like, all right, if you like plants, let's put them around the office. So $70,000 just on plants. And then I read that also they paid someone $15,000 a year to maintain the plants. So anyway, that kind of spending. I think part of the problem was people were really afraid to tell me no. I think probably there's a power, if I'm being honest, of celebrity. People thought that I wasn't used to hearing no. I'll hold my hands up and be accountable for things that I have done and could have done differently. And I was in debt. There was a lot I had to change, and I realized I'd lost my way. So even her own team, they were, I guess, intimidated by her and wouldn't tell her, no, we're not going to spend that. It's not wise. And her company kind of was in the hole. So my question for you is, how do you practice saying no or sharing your honest opinion with people of power? How do you practice saying no or sharing your honest opinion of people of power on plants? I know. She should have just bought seeds and planted the seeds and then enjoyed and just waited a little while to enjoy the plants. Oh, yes. Thank you, Danny. Mid-ish live reminder that Pop Chat is also a networking event. Be sure to connect with each other, drop those connection requests. Really appreciate that, Danny. Yes, no doubt at the Sphere. I thought about doing a question about this. This means Gwen Stefani will be the first woman to headline at the Sphere because they've had Kenny Chesney, they've had the Eagles, they've had U2, they've had the Backstreet Boys, of course. Zach Brown Band, I think, is up next. So yeah, no doubt, Gwen Stefani will be the first. What I'd give for $15,000 of disposable income. I know. What? Spice Girl figure skating program? Where? How do I sign up? Am I too old? Going back to answer 2. Sorry, Jennifer. Sometimes these come in out of order. Comes down to what you want to share and why. It's natural to post social things. You're at the game, the concert, the restaurant, etc. These are social settings anyways, but I think it's a very personal decision on what in your personal home life you want to share. Yes, and you have the power. John says she should have launched a perfume brand, a wedding events company, youth empowerment group, and a totally D2C botany brand. Clearly, she should have leaned into the plants thing. Yella says, what a great question. This is still a thing I'm struggling with. Sometimes I'm too soft, sometimes too harsh. Ooh, okay. So let's help Yella out. Give any suggestions for how to really just share your opinion. If you don't agree, I think there's a balance of doing it tactfully. You were hired to do a certain job for a reason, and hopefully your employer is someone who will appreciate, you voicing your opinion. Even if they decide to go the other way, at least you can kind of be at peace knowing you said your share. Alexa says, I always give context as to why I'm saying no and for my reason and quantify it if I can. Ooh, we love quantifying. Show us the numbers. I know. We need to get Shania Twain there too. What I'm trying to be mindful of, Yella says, is when sharing my honest opinion, finding the right words and the right way to convey them. Oh, quick little sidebar while you guys are thinking about this. My friend's husband used ChatGPT to help negotiate a move to another state and becoming his company's first and only remote employee. And it worked. So maybe ChatGPT can help you approach these types of things and your Pop Chat friends. I'm only just looking at the corporate ladder. You're honest. I don't have this issue. My honest opinion is useful to the company I'm actually engaged. I will give my opinion. Great. Sounds like you're in a good place. I love that. Openly, but with respect. You can't go wrong with that. Yella says, and after that, I try reflecting on moments that went well and those where I made a mistake. That is growth. That is growth. I love that you're acknowledging, like, maybe I could have said this differently. And it's so much harder, right? You go in with an idea of what you want to say, and then it all goes out the window. Mara says, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. Sometimes it's all about your tone when you give feedback. Tone is everything, really. Ooh, Hollywood themed mugs. Love it. Maybe Jennifer wants to collect some. Trying to make a case, the numbers never lie. Ooh, yes. Pull some research when you can. Back it up. All right. Any other tips on this? Please drop them. Let's talk about Jewel in the spirit of World Mental Health Day, which I don't know if this occurred to me, but Jewel's real name is Jewel, which I think is pretty cool. And that rhymes. So she went on the Today Show talking about World Mental Health Day and how at the height of her fame, and even still, she felt like she wanted to regulate how famous she was because it was having an effect on her. So she said, by the time I did Spirit, my second album, I started to regulate how famous I got. I started to take years between albums to kill my momentum. My mental health just didn't do good being that level of fame, she says, remembering how people followed her and simple tasks like grocery shopping became difficult. I was like, wait, I don't actually have to be that famous. I could be less famous, and it's not that hard to do. You take time between albums and you go under the radar really quickly. And I thought this was refreshing because she's kind of embracing breaks. And Jewel is still an icon. She still did pretty well for herself, even though she took time off. Um, Terry says it's intimidating, but I'm learning more and more to push back respectfully. 98% of the time, they understand and listen. Tone is key and explain why. Yes. And, I especially think this with you, Terry. I mean, you have such like strong expertise in what you do. So if you're pushing back on something, it's because you really believe in it. I think that's the case for everyone here. So Jewel inspired this question. What new pressures or challenges has social media added to everyday life? Little things like, you know, she mentioned that even going to the grocery store and like little moments in her life became, where the paparazzi or people would follow her. Has social media made certain experiences in our everyday life a challenge in some way? I'll give you a second to think about this because I think it's kind of a hard question. Um, but for me, I think social media really just presents one professionally a challenge to be and stay relevant and, you know, prove yourself in your field. Like you're expected to have this online presence. And at the same time, you're also expected to be present for your friends and family and be in the moment. Or you should aim for that. So social media has kind of this dichotomy of, professionally, you want to see and be seen, but personally, you want to disconnect. And it's made certain experiences, where you feel that push pull and you are really plugged in. Self sabotage. I know. I've been there too. Yeah. Jennifer's got some advice on how to say no. You can't just say no. You have to provide evidence and examples to back it up. I had some scope creep issues on a recent project. Ooh, gotta nip that. I provided ideas on how they could streamline and clarify their brief to save time. Also grouped all the asks together in one list so they could better see how much they were asking for. Beautiful. Joseph says, I think it's Joseph. Preface with my recommendation would be can make such a difference in the way people react to a contrary opinion. Without that preface, some people can become immediately defensive. That's all it takes. I love that. Oh, yes. Trying to focus as a social media manager. Yeah, actually doing the work when there's also just so much going on and so much you need to be in tune to all the time and be always on. Screen time, being too online, made us dependent on platforms for validation, and self-esteem. I hate that this is true and that we feel this. Aw. I need this book. Got it. Oh, I came late. Okay, got it. It's a great book, Brianna Wiest. She also wrote The Mountain Is You, which I would recommend reading first, I think. Amy says people are usually only putting out their successes, their best selves on social media. So you have to keep in mind that life is not as perfect as it appears on everyone's social. Yes, it can make us all spiral into these comparison traps. Monique, yes, took the words right out of my mouth. Comparing yourself, not just to your Facebook friends and the people around you, but now you have influencers and you're comparing yourself to actual real strangers. It makes such a wild emotional impact. Yeah. And I feel this on LinkedIn too. Like, I wasn't picked to speak on this panel or whatever. I don't have this opportunity because LinkedIn is also a place for people to celebrate their professional accomplishments. And as someone who is changing diapers the majority of the day, it kind of sometimes stings a bit for me. As happy as I am for people. So, that's an honest thing that I personally deal with. You have to always be on, posting, sharing, streaming. On the other side, it's ruined a lot of places and experience. People glued to their phone, broadcasting the event instead of actually enjoying the experience. I know you look out at concerts now, it's just a sea of phones. Yay, Yella and Danny are connecting. Please post a book rec list. I would love nothing more than to do that. Let me write this down. I would love to do that. And I know Danny had a great book rec list going, and we were going to DM about that. So let's do that. Terry, I just love that Terry's here. Social media and access to things happening right now makes me get more FOMO. Being a marketer and copywriter, I'm already online. So it feels like I got to know what's happening in culture and then the news so I can be part of the conversation, but it's so distracting. That makes sense. I think as someone who I'm kind of a solopreneur, I guess. I'm in my mom phase of life. I don't have any coworkers. I feel like being plugged in helps me with loneliness. It's definitely distracting, but I don't feel like it's just me and my four walls all day long. But yeah, it can also be too much. I don't like this game. It's such a dual-edged sword. It's paradoxical and parasocial. I both love it and I despise it. This is like what we think every single day. Biggest challenge with personal social media channels is coming up with original content. If you lead an unoriginal life, Joseph, I wish I traveled or went to an exciting event every week that I could talk about, but the truth is, yeah, I think there is excitement in your everyday. I think we need to challenge this, Joseph. Let's talk. There's so much you could do. Too old to be on a 40 under 40 list. Whenever I see them come out every year, I get FOMO. Yeah, isn't it kind of strange that they kind of sting? You want to be happy for people, but it's like, A Pop Chat book club? Oh man, Danny, add these to the list. My wish list of great ideas that you all have that I'll execute. Deadline for the book list on LinkedIn is Sunday, 1 p.m. I need book recommendations for my train journey back. Okay, I will do that. I will do that. Justin, we're expected to think creatively. Justin, hello. Sorry, hi. 24/7 G's feel like constantly trying to give a performance. It's so true. I get like this weird anxiety if I don't post something for the day. Does anyone else get that, or is that just so pathetic? Like I feel like it's probably dopamine or something. Like I can exhale knowing I put something out there today, or maybe it's just the pressure to be creative. Like you feel better once you've been creative. I'm going to frame it that way. Being plugged in provides community, but even in real life, it's healthy to step away and take some you time. Yes, or have in real life community. Yes, I love that. Yella, I want your book recs too, because I know you've got some good ones. Oh man, we're coming up on time. I thought it was a slow pop culture week. Feel Good Friday. Please go ahead and tell me some good news. I always know this question is coming, and sometimes I blank out. What do I have on my calendar? What do I have that's new and exciting? Some good news. I think, did I already say this? That I've been waking up at 5:30, 5:45 for a while, and it's a habit that's really sticking. And I feel like I'm finally owning my mornings, and it's really awesome. So that is some good news on my end, but please share yours and we're going to celebrate. But I'm going to breeze through this last question. Did you guys see this? Long John Silver's is changing its logo to add a chicken. They changed their logo to add a chicken. I'm a little speechless by this. They've always been about fish. It was all that train talk making time fly by. Yes, it flew by for sure. So let's get into this. We have a quote from their SVP of marketing. Trains cause delays, so do trains. I love you guys. Okay. Their senior vice president of marketing said, guests have been telling us for years that our chicken is a best kept secret. Our hand battered chicken strips, known as chicken planks, are every bit as crave worthy as our legendary fish. It's time we let that secret out. Didn't they learn anything from Cracker Barrel? Choo choo choose Pop Chat for your Friday train talk. Amazing. You all must be a bunch of smart marketers coming up with all these slogans and puns. And oh, good news. We're actually going to have fall-like weather in Tampa this weekend, high of 82 and low humidity on Sunday. Yes, that is fall. Get out your candles. Visiting friends in Columbus and meeting their 1-year-old for the first time. I love that. That's so cute. Send pictures. Okay, so I went to see if this was really true. And on their website, yeah, they added the chicken everywhere. But then I also went to their about page. And also at their header, it's National Seafood Month that you choose to do this. Like, rude to all the fish. But they pride themselves on their pirate values, not their farmer values, not their chicken coop values. See, but that's the thing. Yeah. I honestly didn't know they had chicken there. Me neither. But this feels like a big step. The delayed chats are going to derail Brienne's thoughts again. Oh no. Derail. Runaway train today. I want to participate in these puns, but I feel like as the host, I can't think of them right now. I need to. I don't know. All I want to say is all aboard. Anyway, change the name or have a different menu. Long John Feathers. We've got a copywriter in the house. So my question for you, one is, do we think this is true or is this like an April Fool's joke in October? I don't know. But should they have done just a full rebrand, like putting the chicken front and center? How can brands safely test big changes in low risk ways? This is my last question. Is this a forever ad or are they just promoting more meat? I don't know. It seems they're not talking about it as if it's a campaign. It's like, no, we changed our logo. What's happening? I kind of thought they went out of business too. I don't know where my closest one is. We used to have one at the mall and I never ate there. This just seems so out of whack. Is this a stunt? Do we think it's a stunt? I just don't know. But how can brands safely test big changes in low risk ways? Have a good day, y'all. No pop chat next week. I will be out of town for a wedding, and the wedding's on a Friday, so I really couldn't swing it if I wanted to. But yeah, I'll see you the following week. And October 31st, Halloween is a Friday. So I'm going to need a costume. I'm going to need another costume. So do we think this is a stunt, Long John Silvers? Just don't know. I'm so glad you guys had a good time. I loved the train talk. Monique says maybe the rebrand was just a way to get people talking about them again. I think they're succeeding. Rich, I drive by a Long John's almost every day. Hey, Rich, are you going to go check out their chicken? Do you drive by it or do you eat there? We'll see. I think they're definitely getting some press. And they're back being topical again, but I don't know. I couldn't believe this. I think it's a stunt. I think they're going to say just kidding in a second. They saw Cracker Barrel do it and they were like, hey, even bad logo press was good press. Exactly. Yella says, start small and test. If it works, expand. If it doesn't, reiterate. So yeah, I'm curious. I don't know for sure. Maybe they did test this in some way. People love the chicken. So go try the chicken, report back. But as always, I want to thank you guys for joining. Please connect with each other. Thank you so much for your engagement. As always, safe travels on your trains, wherever you may be going in the world. Everyone have a great weekend. And I won't see you next Friday, but I'll see you the Friday after. Have a very, very happy weekend. Bye bye.